The night I discovered my brother's shocking affair with a married woman who was closer to our family than we ever imagined. It was a still, chilly Friday evening in our small Midwest town. The autumn air seeped through the cracks of the old house, mixing with the warm aroma of Mom's signature chicken pot pie. She had a knack for making the house feel like home, even during the hardest of times. After dinner, the three of us, Mom, my older brother Caleb, and I, settled in the living room. The old TV crackled softly as we watched reruns of The Golden Girls. Mom was exhausted, her eyes growing heavier with every passing moment. "I'm calling it a night, kids," she said, stifling a yawn. "You behave yourselves, all right?" Caleb flashed his signature lopsided grin. "Of course, Mom, we're angels," she chuckled, kissed the top of my head, and shuffled off to her room. I glanced at Caleb, who had leaned back on the couch with an unreadable smirk. "Guess it's just us now," he said, his tone playful but carrying a strange weight. The night dragged on, and around 11:00 p.m., Caleb's phone buzzed. He picked it up and quickly stood, pacing into the kitchen. The walls in our house were paper-thin, and though I couldn't make out every word, his tone was sharp and hurried. "You know I can't talk long." "No, she's here." A knot tightened in my stomach. Who was he talking about? "I told you I'd handle it. Just stop texting tonight. She might see." The conversation ended abruptly, and Caleb returned to the couch as if nothing had happened. His expression was calm, but my mind raced. Something wasn't right. The next day, I tried to shake off the feeling. Maybe I misunderstood, but Caleb's behavior only grew more erratic. He was glued to his phone, disappearing for hours, and offering flimsy excuses like, "Just ran into some old friends." By Sunday, I couldn't take it anymore. My curiosity boiled over into action. While Caleb was in the shower, I grabbed his phone from the counter. My hands trembled as I scrolled through his messages. There it was, a thread with someone named Rachel. The texts were flirtatious and filled with inside jokes. My heart sank when I read one that said, "Last night was risky, but it was worth it. Can't wait until we don't have to hide anymore." I froze. Caleb, my brother, the person I thought I knew better than anyone, was having an affair. And then I saw the worst part. Rachel wasn't just anyone. She was married to Mr. Turner, Mom's coworker and friend who had helped us out countless times. He'd fixed our leaky roof last summer and brought us food when Mom's hours were cut at the diner. I spent the next few days in a daze, watching Caleb's every move. He didn't seem guilty, but his phone never left his side. My anger simmered, and I debated confronting him. When I finally mustered the courage, I cornered him in his room. "We need to talk," I said, my voice trembling. He looked up from his phone, startled. "What's with the drama?" "I know about Rachel." For a moment, his face went blank. Then he smirked. "So what? It's none of your business. She's married, Caleb, and to Mom's friend, no less." He shrugged, leaning back in his chair. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I shouted. "Do you even realize what this would do to Mom if she found out?" His smirk vanished. "Don't you dare tell her," he said, his voice low and threatening. That night, as Mom fell asleep on the couch, Caleb assumed he had free rein. Around 10:00 p.m., the front door creaked open. A woman's soft laughter followed. I peeked out from my room and then saw Rachel standing in the living room, her hand resting on Caleb's arm. They were so engrossed in each other that they didn't notice me. My fists clenched, and I stepped into the room. "What the hell are you doing here?" I demanded, my voice loud enough to startle them. Rachel froze. I should go," she stammered, but Caleb grabbed her arm. "No, not tonight." I shook my head. "Yes, tonight. Rachel, leave. And don't come back." She hesitated but eventually grabbed her coat and slipped out the door. Caleb turned to me, his face red with rage. "You had no right. No, right? I shot back. You're destroying lives, Caleb. This isn't some romantic game. For the first time, I saw something crack in his expression. I didn't mean for it to go this far, he muttered. That's the problem, I said. You never think. The next morning, I made the hardest decision of my life. I told Mom everything. As I spoke, her face shifted from shock to disbelief to heartbreak. I need to hear this from Caleb, she finally said, her voice trembling. When Caleb walked into the room, the confrontation was explosive. Mom's tears, Caleb's attempts to justify himself, and the heavy silence that followed left the air thick with pain. Over the next few weeks, Caleb broke things off with Rachel, but the damage was done. Mom's trust in him was shattered, and the bond we once had as siblings was gone. Looking back, I often wonder if I did the right thing. Did exposing the truth save our family, or did it destroy it? All I know is that the cracks in a family's foundation are often hidden beneath the surface, unseen until they're too wide to ignore. Caleb's choices changed everything, and we're still trying to pick up the pieces. Sometimes, the truth isn't just a burden, it's a wrecking ball.